I've got a list of tons of music world records here, and in this video we'll be looking at every single one, from things like the most streamed song of all time to the most random things like the most words in a big song. Anyway, the first one, the most streamed song of all time, most people know by now that this is Blinding Lights by The Weeknd. Released in 2020, it got over 4.5 billion streams, making it by far the most streamed song of all time. Now, the most streamed album of all time is a compilation by Post Malone, the Diamond Collection, and it got 27 billion streams across all the songs on that album, which is pretty insane. But I think even more insane is the most streamed album of all time that's not a compilation, and this is Un Verano Sin Ti by Bad Bunny. And in 2 years from when it was made, it's got 17 billion streams, and I don't even know what happened with Bad Bunny. In fact, I didn't really know who he was, but he went massive a few years ago, and I don't hear much about him, but he got tons of streams. But what about the most streamed artist of all time? Well, this is actually Drake, because he's got over 100 billion streams, and that scares me. But we'll stop talking about streams now and go on to the best-selling things. Now, the best-selling song of all time is White Christmas by Bing Crosby. It was made all the way in 1942, and it got over 50 million sales. But the interesting thing is, it's not even in the top 2,500 most streamed to say that it's the most best-selling song of all time. Now, the best-selling album of all time is Thriller by Michael Jackson. This was made in 1982 and sold over 120 million. But what's interesting is, at the time of the recording, despite being the best-selling album of all time, it's only 138 most streamed. The best-selling artist of all time is obviously the Beatles, and they've estimated to have sold about 400 million, things. I don't know, that's what the internet told me anyway. And they're the most 65 most streamed artist. But yeah, they're the best-selling artist of all time. The song that got the most streams in one day ever is a song called Fortnite by Taylor Swift and Post Malone, and this got 25 million streams in one day. But for the most streams in 1 week, that goes to Miley Cyrus with her song Flowers, which somehow got 115 million streams in 1 week. Now, we're going to more interesting things now, because the most words in a hit song is the next world record, and this is going to be pretty obvious that it's Eminem, but his song Rap God gets this prize. In this song there are 1,560 words, and what's funny about that is that's enough words to qualify as a short story. Now, the richest musician is Jay-Z, well, estimated anyway. People think that he's got about $2.5 billion. And the biggest concert of all time, as in attendance, was held by Rod Stewart in Rio de Janeiro on a place called Copacabana Beach. And there were 3.5 million people that attended this concert, which is a lot of people. Next, the most watched music video of all time. It's obviously on YouTube. It's Despacito and by Luis Fonsi. This got 8 billion views in the 7 years that it's been around, something like that. And it's insane because it's the second most viewed video on YouTube. The only thing that beats it is Baby Shark, and which means technically that's the most watched YouTube music video, but I don't think I want to count that. Now, the most watched YouTube music video in one day, on the other hand, is Butter by BTS, which in one single day, in 2021, they got 108 million views on their music video for Butter. Now we'll start to talk about awards. For example, the most Grammys belongs to Beyonce. She's won 32 Grammys, which doesn't really make sense. That doesn't seem to add up, but yeah, she's won 32 Grammys. As for Grammy nominations, this also goes to Beyonce, but she has tied with Jay-Z for 88 nominations. And I don't think that really adds up. 88 nominations, that's just confusing. As for the most Brit Awards, this goes to Robbie Williams after winning 17 Brit Awards out of his 30 nominations. The shortest concert of all time goes to the White Stripes, who in 2007 played one note in their concert, like one crash cymbal, one like strum on the guitar, and that was the entire concert. One note, the shortest concert of all time, and technically I don't think it can go shorter than that. But as for the longest concert of all time, it goes to somebody that I'm not going to try to pronounce, but his name is on screen here. In 2009, he played non-stop for 501 hours in India, which doesn't really make sense, but apparently he did, so that does count as a world record. The most albums in the top 40 at the same time, this goes to David Bowie, because in 2016, and around the time that he passed away, 19 of his albums got into the top 400, not 400, the top 40. 19. Half of the entire chart was just David Bowie albums, which I think is great. Now, as for the most songs in the top 20 simultaneously, top 20 singles, in 2017, Ed Sheeran released his album, The Divide One, and that was so big that 16 of his songs got into the top 20 singles simultaneously. 3/4 of the entire list was just Ed Sheeran for a period. Now, the song in the top singles chart for the longest period of time is All I Want for Christmas, because when it was released in 1994, it stayed for 44 weeks in the charts. Now, what about the album in the charts for the longest? Well, this is obviously a compilation. In 1981, Queen released their Greatest Hits album. Now that I'm realising, that was released in 1981, which means that some of their biggest hits weren't even made there. But anyway, 1981, they made a Greatest Hits album, and it stayed in the charts for 1,439 weeks, which is many, many years. But if we're not talking about a compilation album, this goes to Rumours by Fleetwood Mac, because when it was released in 1977, it stayed in the top album charts for 1,066 weeks. The first artist to broadcast to space was Paul McCartney. To end this video, we're going to go through the most streamed song for every decade. So, in the 2020s, it was As It Was by Harry Styles, the fourth most streamed of all time, and it got 3.5 billion streams, and obviously still counting. Now, the most streamed song of the 2010s, released in 2019, Blinding Lights, the most streamed songs, as we know. Now, in the 2000s, it's Yellow, which was literally released on 2000, which means that it was almost a 90s song, but no, this is a 2000 song, and it's the 37th most streamed song of all time. Nirvana owns the most popular song in the 1990s, because this song got 2.1 billion streams. It's the 83rd most streamed song, obviously Smells Like Teen Spirit. Now, the most streamed song of the 1980s is actually Every Breath You Take by The Police. This is the 70th most streamed, and it got 2.2 billion streams, and that always shocked me, because I knew it was a gigantic song, but I didn't know it was so big on streaming things. But yeah, it is the 70th most streamed of all time. And the most streamed song of the 1970s is Bohemian Rhapsody by Queen, getting a 2.6 billion streams. It is the 30th most streamed song of all time. And I thought that I was finished there, but I do have 3 more records. The most Googled musician in 2024 was Taylor Swift, obviously. And the most followed musician on all of social media is surprisingly Selena Gomez, because I don't know much about her, like what she does, but somehow she has 650 million followers across like Instagram and all the other stuff. And finally, to finish off, fun fact, Metallica is the only music group or musician or anything like that to play a concert on every single continent in a single year. That obviously includes Antarctica. Now, if you enjoyed this video, drop a like down below. If you enjoy my content, subscribe. See you in the next video. Goodbye.